Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a very special episode of Flesh Wound Fist, where we review and discuss your and our favorite action comedy films, or sometimes just straight up action movies. Today is a very special episode because we will be reviewing and discussing not one, but two movies at once, that being Superman 3 and 4. Also with us, before we get into that, also with me, as always on this program, first in the Northern California Bay Area's world-famous juggler, Greg Larson. How you doing, Greg?
Doing well, but it seems you're a little flustered about this episode, Ozzy.
I am flustered because I noticed, I'm looking at my notes, and for Superman 3, like, my list is, like, yay long, and my list for 4 is, like, half that. So, it's such a disparity. I can't wait to get into it.
Mine are actually about
equal. I always argue about this all the freaking time. Also with us, ladies and gentlemen, Freshman producer Todd. That was the voice you heard. I'm a little flustered because, like I said, Todd and I, like, ever since I think we've known each other, we've argued about these two films.
Well, because Ozzy's wrong, and that's okay.
Oh,
and I'll prove that factually tonight.
Okay.
But I want to say this. I know me and Ozzy, our opinions are not going to change at all. Nothing's going to change between us. So, Greg, you're going to be the voice of reason on this.
And one. Here's a promise I'm going to make, and this is a legitimate promise. This isn't one of those things, but like, I will be honest with this. There's going to be no swerves this episode. This will be genuine.
We have a history of swerves.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And I do want to say, like, I'll say it off the top. I can admit neither of these films are as good as the first two Superman films.
We can agree on that. Absolutely.
They're both generally considered bad
I will
films.
argue that.
Well,
okay. The Donner cut.
Okay.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah.
But 4 makes the Donner cut not canon. But anyway, that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
So you can't even make it canon if you wanted to, because of 4, your favorite.
I didn't say it was my favorite. I just said I liked it better than 3. Okay, see, this is what we were worried about. We were worried about just starting the episode and just start fighting about it. And I said, no, we got to stick with the facts first. So we'll stick with the facts first. Let's show the trailer for this piece of garbage, Superman 3. Oh, see, I can't even. I know it's. Let me.
I'll throw 3.
You started this.
Let me throw the third trailer. So now we're going to check out the trailer from the masterpiece that is.
Masterpiece. Oh my!
You can introduce yours however you want.
Okay.
Now, I will argue.
All right. Okay.
I will argue. I will argue Superman 3 is appropriate for Flesh Wound Farce. Just saying. But here we go. You're the Brad of the group, not that Brad. The Brad of the group.
When it's time for adventure, it's time for Superman. Alexander Salkind presents Christopher Reeve and Richard Pryor in Superman 3. This time, Richard Pryor has come to Metropolis.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And he's got something to sell. He's the best con man and the world's greatest computer genius.
Let me tell you something. I can't ski.
But then he falls for a scheme to turn the ultimate computer into the ultimate weapon.
Well, what will it do for me?
It will do anything you tell me to tell it to do.
A machine so powerful,
Baby! It's Daddy!
it can control the Earth.
Now, getting down to business.
Change the weather.
You know something? You're a genius.
And reprogram Superman.
Thought you'd never get here.
Well, I hope you don't expect me to save you, because
Whoa!
I don't do that anymore.
No! Oh, fuck! Oh, so stupid. Watch the movie.
You don't want us to talk crap on shitty trailers because we still got one coming up, Ozzy.
I asked you to kill Superman, and you're telling me you couldn't even do that one simple thing.
Ah,
All right, Webster, the game's over.
But only the man who pulled the switch on Superman
Oh, see, I'm not with them, Superman.
Could have fooled me, mister.
can pull the plug on Super Machine.
You're going to go down in history as the man who killed Superman.
No. Thank you, brother.
Superman 3.
Watch the trees.
This time is going to be the best time of all.
I turned my light off.
Did we just watch the whole movie in the trailer?
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. And it was even inaccurate. Should I say this right now? Or should I save it for later?
Yeah, we'll just stop you right there. All right. Save it for later.
Fine.
Tell us about the cast, please.
Well, let me just say, again, released on June 17th, 1983, rated PG with a runtime of 125 minutes.
Okay.
Which is short for a
Not
Superman
okay.
movie.
It's not okay. Directed by Richard Lester, with characters from Jerry Siegel and Joel Schuster. Screenplay by Leslie and Dana Newman. Starring Christopher Reeve, Margot Kidder returning, Jackie Cooper as well. However, now including Richard Pryor, Annie Ross, and Robert Vaughn, as well as Pamela Stevenson. That concludes the facts of this film. So should we just roll into the Superman 4 trailer?
Yeah.
And then we'll start going from there. Gotta write this down before I forget.
I did the American trailer, not the international trailer, which I think is a less. But I believe the American one's superior, although it is missing the Canon logo. But we'll get into that when we talk about.
In the spirit of fairness, though, Ozzy, do you want to give an introduction like Todd was allowed to give for Superman 4?
I will say, this next film, which was released on July 24th, 1987, while nowhere near a good movie at all, still is better than Superman 3. Not nearly as good as the first two films. However, still better than Superman 3, in my humble opinion, which I'm ready to defend in a few short moments. But right now, we got to get that trailer out there. Todd, could you please roll it?
The greatest hope against the threat of nuclear war is Superman.
I'm going to do what our governments have been unwilling or unable to do. Effective immediately, I'm going to rid our planet of all nuclear weapons.
The greatest threat to Superman is Lex Luthor.
Smarter than I thought. We can make the world safe for war profits.
He's created the ultimate weapon to annihilate the Man of Steel.
You'd risk worldwide nuclear war for your own personal financial gain.
Nobody wants war. I just want to keep the threat alive.
Dude of Steel. Where are you gonna get it?
You know you're a workaholic. Why don't you stop and smell the roses, huh?
Superman 4, Christopher Reeve, Gene Hackman, Jackie Cooper, John Cryer, with Mariel Hemingway and Margot Kidder as Lois Lane. Superman 4, his most important adventure, the quest for peace.
And that was the trailer for Superman 4, again released on July 24th, 1987, rated PG with a runtime of a beautiful 90 minutes.
You know, I'm going to give you a fun fact. What day was this released?
July 24th, 1987.
4th. This is one of the first movies I went to go see on my own. I rode my bike to the Boyna Park Mall, to the UA8.
Wow.
My bike in the front. Went and watched the movie. See, again, I never said I didn't like this movie. I just said it's no way near as good as 3. They're both bad movies, but one's enjoyable. I stayed and watched it again because it was Superman. I wanted more Superman. So I stayed the first day it opened, stayed, watched it twice. Went outside to go home, no bike.
Oh.
So I don't know if that, but see, I still like the movie for quite a while, but I think as I get older, I realize I wanted the canon version, and this isn't it. It's a canon movie, but it's not the canon version.
The 3 and 4 are non-canon movies.
No. Canon as in the company that made it. Canon, who made classics as a Mission in Action, Invasion USA, the American Ninja movies, all the stuff like that is like, this is them trying to be legit. And this is also the film that killed their company. This and Master of the Universe. Instead of making what a true canon movie should have been, they tried to make American movies. And the 2 Israelis that own canon, they never really understood American films or America really, which is what their take on America is always what made them so unique. And you can still kind of see in this, they don't really understand it in Superman 4, but I don't know. I like I said, I do enjoy Superman 4 for it is, but it's a bad movie and not in a good way. Like, I can't just watch it for enjoyment like I can 3. But I should for 3. I'm gonna throw this out. Huge Richard Pryor fan. The Toy was one of my favorite movies before I ever saw it.
I haven't even finished going through the director.
I'm ready to go.
Screenplay. I can see that.
Gloves are on.
So again, the characters from, of course, same people. The story this time with coming from Christopher Reeve, Lawrence Connor, and Mark Roseman, with Mark Roseman and Lawrence Connor writing the screenplay for the movie. And the director is Sidney J. Furie, replacing Richard Lester. And are you familiar with what Sidney J. Furie has directed, Todd?
Off the top of my head,
I can tell you the movie that you think is superior to Top Gun, Iron Eagle.
No, I that's not actually what I say superior. I think it doesn't get the love because of Top Gun.
Greg,
I can't say
what do you think better means?
Well, I can't say my.
I'm sorry. I asked Greg a question.
Okay.
What does better mean?
Well, it means that it is better than the other.
Okay.
I believe my exact words. I'd rather watch Iron Eagle than Top Gun. Doesn't mean better.
Well, I could go to find some camera footage from a Hoff's hut and find evidence to.
Sometimes I just say things to rile you up, though, too, Ozzy.
Okay.
That's
Superman 3
reasonable.
verse 4 is not one of them, though. I will state that.
All right. So, and we have Christopher Reeve, Margot Kidder, of course, returning. No more Annette O'Toole. Lana Lang is gone. Richard Pryor is gone. So I think now we're ready to go into. Oh, but this does introduce John Cryer, which is a bonus. He has one great line in this movie that made me laugh out loud, as well as my fiance. So
the most character in all of Superman history. I gotta say, this is why you don't let the promoter put the title on himself. Don't let Christopher Reeves write the damn movie.
Although
how can Superman not understand Superman? Superman should not be getting involved. They were right. All the people that they couldn't afford Marlon Brando again, telling him not to get involved in this. At least he didn't break Zod's neck, I guess. That's my fucking name. Sorry.
Oh, dude, let's calm down right now.
Yeah,
Superman 4 over Man of Steel.
That is a whole
Superman 4 over Man of Steel. Saying that right now. But Christopher Reeves as Superman over anything anyone else has ever touched.
Oh yeah,
we'll save that discussion for another day.
All right.
So, one thing I did want to list, the thing that pissed me off about the Superman 3 trailer, I'm going to go right from the top.
What was it?
Is it says a supercomputer so dangerous it could reprogram Superman, which did not happen.
We didn't understand how computers worked in 1983.
No, that's not the point. The point is that did not even the computer was not even built when Superman started turning. What made him turn was the analysis of what used to be kryptonite, and because there was an unknown origin and he was smoking cigarettes, I'm going to make it tar.
Technically, a computer was what did that. It just wasn't that computer that we got.
No, it wasn't. It was the computer plus Richard Pryor adding tar. Yeah. The computer didn't say, let me add tar to this. No. You were saying the trailer had said, can reprogram Superman. All this did for Richard Pryor was ask for the ingredients inside kryptonite. The machine, by showing that green light, made it appear that it had the power to adjust Superman's chemistry, but no, instead they made it a faux kryptonite with tar instead of the unknown resource. And because it has 0.5% of tar, it allowed Superman to become evil, which I will say the funniest line in 3, the one that made me laugh the most, was not intended as humorous. I mean, I don't think, actually, maybe I'll say that for later, actually. But I just want to let that known that the computer that they talk about being so evil, it could do this, it could do that, could not reprogram Superman. That was something that was done by humans, specifically Gus's character portrayed by Richard Pryor.
But the computer is what made the kryptonite, though. So
no, it's not. It didn't say the computer has the ability to duplicate kryptonite. It says the computer has the ability to reprogram Superman.
Well,
that doesn't make that's inaccurate. That's an inaccurate statement because this movie sucks.
It shoots a green kryptonite laser that could have done that. We don't know. It could have.
Yeah. That's the thing. That's where I was going to go.
You weaken him. You do not reprogram him.
We don't know its fullest capability. Maybe it could. It just didn't.
It wasn't built at the time he started turning.
No,
don't you remember Richard Pryor? What he typed stuff into a computer while he was in that call center. He was working at the call center. He typed stuff up on the computer, and the list of things came up. Then after the fact, they said, "Oh my God, you actually built the machine." He had no idea that they built the computer after the fact that he gave him the idea. Holy Toledo!
I'm not saying that I'm not saying what Todd's original thing was that the computer built that kryptonite. That's the excuse for it. I'm saying, yes, he turned prior to the computer, but what if it still had the ability to do so? Because if it can shoot a kryptonite ray, it could probably shoot a tar kryptonite ray, but it just didn't get the chance.
At that point in the movie, that computer was not built.
No, it wasn't.
Only after the fact. Only after. That's
what I'm saying.
I know that's my point. That's what I'm trying to prove, that Todd's wrong.
No, I didn't. I never said they did it. I said a computer made it, so it still kind of works.
No, it doesn't. They're talking about a one computer that can do all this stuff. The computer that
again,
that doesn't make any sense. And then what's with the moving generators? All of a sudden, Superman can't move electric generators? What is going on here? And then let's even analyze the fact of when the fire started at the beginning of the movie, like Superman couldn't just blow it out with super cold air. He had to go travel to a lake and freeze the top layer and bring the sheet of ice, which made my fiance say, "Oh my gosh, what are they doing?" I agreed with her. So that's all Superman looked out to be a complete idiot in this movie.
Like he does it in 4? You got a fucking villain who's afraid of shadows. Get the hell.
Oh, to be fair, the villain was not afraid of shadows.
Oh, sorry.
He just became unable to move.
Okay, you know the most unbelievable thing about Superman 4? I don't think you're going to get what it is. It's the fact that Lex Luger would wear a wig that's balding. That's the most unbelievable thing about it. Because, he's wearing a wig. That's not his real hair.
I thought the most unbelievable thing with that Lex Luger was in Superman 4.
Damn it, I did Luger Luthor. Damn it.
Swish. Okay, so before we delve into this more further discourse, let's go into okay, so I've said already some critical things on Superman 3.
Of least favorite moments.
I do have one. Wait, do I? No, I don't. I don't have it. I mean, I didn't star a favorite moment, but
you just like the movie.
Well, I mean, can we just analyze for a second that what do we see when we first see Richard Pryor, like an African American character? He's in the unemployment line, and then how does Superman save him at the very end? He gets him a job. I mean, give me a break. What? I actually wrote down at one point, I hate this movie. Like in the middle.
I don't get it, because one is a true cocaine-fueled, fun 80s film, and the other is a studio-killing budget / poorly written propaganda film full of sitcom tropes. I don't get how they're like, one's fun and one I'm like scratching my eyes at how bad it is. Bad Fabio who can't act. It looks like I'm watching something that should have been on Superboy. not on a theatrical film in 1980, whatever. 80.
Although costume
Yeah.
done better than the almost similar costume as Thunderbolts.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like I can watch like the prior stuff's hilarious. The drunk stuff. Like well, we're not the favorite scenes, but like there's so much more. In my history and franchises, I attach to the weird one. Superman 3 tries something different. It goes a different route. You're introducing new characters. You're going back to Smallville. You have a new villain. It's different. Where Superman 4 is, I said a propaganda film, but it is, and it's just redoing tropes. He's redoing stuff like, why are you going to do the kiss again that already didn't work, and now you're doing it again, and now it's working? Yeah, they both have plot holes, but at least Superman 3 knows where it's going. 4, like Mariel Hemingway can't act her ass out of a box.
I will agree with you there.
The whole like the Daily Planet getting over by Tableau, it shows me how they don't understand filmmaking. And Canon, instead of trying to make a canon movie, which should have been just batshit and over the top, they tried to make an American movie and failed so miserably it killed their company. The same thing goes with Masters of the Universe before it. I mean, they try to take on these franchises, they don't understand them, and they kill both of them and their company in the process.
I have to disagree, Todd. They didn't fail miserably. They failed very well.
This is okay.
So let's finish our critiques of Superman 3, in which I'll add even another one. Why is Superman giving the diamond ring to Lana Lane after we just saw 2 movies of him completely enamored after Lois Lane?
Because he moved on.
The arc is just terrible.
It's because she had to sell off her ring.
Yeah,
it wasn't a proposal. Yeah. It was just because he was like, "Oh, I feel bad for you having to sell your ring. Here's this diamond."
Here's no, it's not. Here's a diamond. It's here's a diamond ring. When you give a lady a diamond ring, it usually means marriage.
Calm down, Brad. He wasn't really proposing.
Yeah.
And Brad in the movie reminds me. I feel like this is the Sandman's origin story. Every time I watch it, he reminds me of ECW Sandman. So that adds an extra level of enjoyment.
Now, I do have to say, my big critical moment of Superman 3, and it really irked me, it was with the supercomputer when they're firing the missiles at Superman. If all of those missiles are missing and they had like the video game kind of theme, why were they getting points when they weren't hitting him?
Okay, that's fair.
That was annoying.
As a gamer, I was infuriated.
I was.
Nobody gets points for missing a target.
Exactly.
Well, maybe that they thought that's what the case, because that's basically what the whole movie is.
I'm gonna tell you mine. The part I didn't like. Why is everyone being a dick to Superman just because he didn't get there on time? Like, he was trying to get some ass. He's a little late. No one died, but everyone, like, Superman can't be like a couple minutes late. Like, everyone treats him like shit. I was like, what the? Like, they don't know what he was doing, but they all
I
just
know,
like,
it's almost
it would have
like
been nice if you were here a minute ago, dick.
It's almost like they knew he was being super raped.
He was.
It's just leaning in that direction, like, hey, so how are you here by yourself?
That was like so awesome.
And then just him staring at her. It was just like, ew. It's just weird. But okay, so oh man, I'm trying to find like one redeeming quality about this. Because even with Richard Pryor saying, I've never skied before, but let me ski off the rooftop of a high-rise building.
Yeah, that's even one my buddy was like, that's always the stupidest part. Never bugged me as a kid. Like, I admit there's some nostalgia with this one. Like, I saw this couple times in the theaters. I remember when it was out on Laserdisc. I made my mother stay, and we stayed in the Laserdisc store because they had it playing, so I could watch the rest of the movie. Like, I would play Superman 3 in my backyard. So, Superman 3 is my favorite Superman film.
It's almost
not the best, but my favorite.
So the whole point of the Donner Superman films was you'll believe a man can fly, right? Uh, so there's a line that Pryor actually delivers that I'm not sure if it's kind of like a snap at Donner, because when they're all taking the balloons down to the base or to the bottom of the, to get inside the base or whatever, and his line is, "I don't believe men can fly."
I don't
That
think it
to
was
me was kind of like, is that kind of just like a pot shot? Like, hey, screw you, Donner. Like,
no, because that was just the film's tagline. I think that was more of a play on that. I don't think. I mean, could it have been knowing the producers? No, this is
Stalkines.
Yeah, they had their beef, so very well could have been something they slipped in because this was still Lester.
I think it was,
but I mean,
and taking
I don't know if he actually came up with that. But
sorry. Well, taking after the movie took a completely different direction. Then, I mean, obviously you see the Donner cut and the Lester cut of Superman 2, you see the difference. Then Superman 3 just completely goes over the top. And I agree with you, Todd. This could be a farce movie. But
I've always said it's better to watch this as a Richard Pryor comedy with Superman, and you're better served that way.
If you titled the movie something else and whatever, like Super Mastermind or whatever, starring Richard Pryor, and then it just takes place in Metropolis and Superman showed up, I could buy that. But
it's just like his Family Guy random like character.
Sure.
Cameo.
But here's what really, really bothered me is that the last two movies spent so much time trying to tell me Clark Kent Superman loves Lois Lane, right? He will reverse, like he'll go back in time to save her. Then all of a sudden he's just swooned over his high school sweetheart.
Well, to be fair though, he kind of like knew he had to put that chapter behind him and move on. I mean, that's like the whole point of Superman.
Right, the whole point is right, but then he goes right back into the whole thing and just like starts being, like, oh, let me be in this. You can call me if you're a Metropolis. So it's like, is he just trying to get ass?
Hey, sometimes Superman needs to super tap something. I don't know.
I mean, that's fair. At the same time, how many times does Superman have to like have Lois being like, that Clark guy? He's not anything, but you, Superman, you're great.
Yeah.
And then someone appreciates him without the powers. Maybe he was just like, thanks. Thanks for liking me for me.
Okay.
Greg's right,
I'm still trying to find like a favorite moment from.
I don't get how you can't have fun with this. Like that's the thing that blows
I think it's
my
because
mind.
like when I saw it was Superman 1, Superman 2, and there was like a tone there. And
do
it was
you have fun
shift.
watching Superman 4?
I did, because as a kid, it was so easy for me because Superman, the first two, had another level of depth that as a kid doesn't really for me, didn't resonate. I didn't really understand that depth, right? So when I watched 3 and I saw it was just people being goofy and Superman couldn't like hear that a car crashed from around the corner. He actually had to walk around the corner to see that a car, like it, stuff like that as a kid was like, is this like a different Superman? Right. And the whole like, oh, this fake kryptonite. Oh, it's making, as a kid, I didn't get that. I didn't understand why is he all of a sudden in love with Lana Lang? If
I always did that because I always thought I was never attracted. I was Lois. Get her out of here.
Well,
I was glad she was in this. That was
I get that, but it's still the first two movies spent so much time,
and those I get it.
Still after recently watching the Donner cut, or even the Lester, that they can't be together. Sure, but why is he just doing the same thing over again? It didn't make sense to me.
Because Superman can't have a girlfriend, but Clark can.
Okay.
Like Clark he can go out to dinner with her. Superman, it's different. So
it's not just going out to dinner with her. It's like he just constantly being there and just hanging around her. Like anybody else would just look at this movie and be like, he's trying to get some. But we've already established the first two. He loves her, but he can't be with anybody.
Nobody eats pet food and stays chill about it if they're not trying to get some.
So the Superman's level of morality is compromised at this point then, because Clark's just trying to get some.
We don't know that Clark's just trying to get some. He just may want some female company.
Yeah, he may be just a good guy.
We know Superman at some point is definitely trying to get some, but that's a different story.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay, now I'll say that this is the funniest line, and it wasn't intended. There's a point when the Lorelei character is sitting on top of the Statue of Liberty, and she's wearing a very revealing outfit, right? And Superman shows up. He's like, I hope you don't think I'm going to save you, because I don't do that anymore. And they start to have a bit of exchange. And she's, no, I wasn't thinking that at all. And then you see the shot. The shot is her and she's at a normal point in the shot. But then Superman walks in and you only see his crotch. And his line is, well, what do you have in mind? Really?
That's
a guy who's the director whose last name rhymes with thought that was a good idea.
Yeah.
So if I had to have a funniest moment, like that would be it, because I mean, not even without hesitation, just walks into the crotch, walks into the shot, and then you hear, well, what do you have in mind? Like, come on. What? Come on, this is supposed to be PG.
And then you wonder why I enjoy this movie so much, even as an adult.
So stupid. So stupid. Okay. So there was a favorite, there was a critique. We'll save the ratings for the last. Going into Superman 4.
Did we get our favorites?
No. Ozzy
I'm sorry. I was trying to list. I couldn't find a favorite, and I thought you guys had listed favorites.
Greg, go for it.
So my favorite was, it actually has been talked about already, but that entire scene where Richard Pryor's on the rooftop and the whole skiing thing, but specifically when he grabs the tablecloth, that's the yank, like it's the make it all smooth, but it does not go appropriately.
And why does he even do that? Like, why would anybody like take off a tablecloth just to pretend to be Superman like that? Like it just
why who wouldn't?
Right?
It didn't fit.
I totally got that.
I thought it was hilarious and wonderful.
Okay.
As I get into my favorite scenes, I'm still not convinced that this movie didn't like turn me into an alcoholic. Because I remember even as a kid when Gus shows up with all the booze, and like, all right, we're getting drunk. I was like, that looks fun. And then the coolest scene in any motion picture in all of motion picture history is when Superman's sitting in that bar, getting hammered, just drunk off his ass, flicking peanuts at the window. And then we have the epic battle of him fighting himself in the trash compactor. As a child, there was nothing greater than to be able to see Clark Kent fight Superman as Ozzy's hating this. And that's what I played in the backyard. That scene was what I reenacted. I love that scene even till this day. Does it make sense? Doesn't matter. It's awesome.
And can we also say, in that bar scene, the skill and precision Superman had to have to flick that and break the alcohol bottle, but not do anything to the mirror behind it. That's some talent.
That is. And also, it's a part of the reason I always had issues with Superman Returns is because I'm like, why is he drunk Superman the whole movie? Because he's wearing the purple, like it's the dark colors and matches the outfit. Looks like drunk Superman. So there we go. My favorite scene. I love it every time it's on.
Okay. All right. So we've done our critiques, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So shifting over to Superman 4. And
are we going to rate it first?
No. I want to save the ratings for for the last. So let's start off because there's a bunch of them with the critiques on this. Todd, let's go. Let's hear some of yours.
No, I mean, I've already said it's
well, but you didn't say it in the right segment.
Oh, it's okay. Canon just totally screwed this up from the gate. Started out with, I believe, a $78 million budget, got slashed to 15. How do you make your opening classic Superman credits look cheap? They do. the script isn't there. There's tons of plot holes that they do things that they've done that don't work that they do again. You have the sitcom trope of him having 2 dates at once. It's literally just, there's so much about this that doesn't work. Like where I can have fun with this. Like I wish this was the crappy canon movie it should have been instead of just a crappy movie. But I mean, yeah, I don't like the whole nuclear arms nonsense. I know it was topical at the time and topical always. Right. But it just didn't. It's like that doesn't. It's like me watching Rocky IV. I'm just like, I hate this. It's just propaganda. I mean, you want more specifics, or that's just my general dislike of the movie now?
That'll do.
Okay,
Greg.
Yeah. So first off, I do like the fact that Lenny Luthor, John, what's his name again?
John Cryer.
John Cryer. I like that he eventually becomes Lex Luthor. That's always fun. But he was actually my biggest critique because I could not take his character seriously because every time I heard him talk, it reminded me of that SNL sketch, The Californians. And it ruined every scene he was in for me. And also there was just an extra spot, and I'm sorry to take another one. There's a spot where Superman, like, he's injured and he falls from the Statue of Liberty. And he lets out, like, rewatch it and listen. He lets out this little, like, and I'm just like, that is the worst, like, in pain yell. Like, it just, it was.
I hate the Revenge of the Sith Darth Vader scream, but at least he screams like a man.
Yeah.
Like, so, yeah, I'm with you on that.
When did Superman become a Jedi? Because like the Great Wall of China is destroyed by Nuclear Man, right? Then all of a sudden he just looks and the stones appear. Right? Like, did I miss something? Was there something odd with that?
You missed that they ran out of money and just
no. But I mean, like, I'm not wrong on that, right? Like he should not like just be able to look at a brick wall and all of a sudden have the bricks all of a sudden come up. Like he'd actually have to physically move them, right?
Unless he did the whole flying around the earth again to reverse time.
That's the only thing this one was missing. I would have loved them to just brought, but we get the kiss twice, so there we go.
Yeah. But that was I'd say because even there was a scene later when Nuclear Man had Jedi powers too and was able to lift citizens with some sort of mind power, and Superman was able to lower them with his mind power. I didn't understand any of that at all. Even as a kid, it didn't make sense to me. Yeah. So again, I'm not saying this movie's perfect. It is bad, but I just enjoy it a little bit more than others.
I wish I enjoyed it more. Like there's so much like wrong with it that like if I could have fun with it, and I haven't got to the point because I like bad movies, and I don't hide that. And technically, I should probably like because I say I always like the weird one, like in the oddball one, or mostly like the one that's obviously the bad one, and that's 4 I believe is worse. But I don't have that nostalgia for it. But I was the right age when 3 came out. I was like 7 versus 13 when 4 came out, so I don't have any like I think I was older and I got it like.
You were ready for something with a little bit more depth.
I was, I mean, and we weren't going to get Richard Pryor again. And John Cryer is no Richard Pryor replacement for the comic relief. He's annoying as hell. Like, if Pauly Shore was like 2 years sooner, this would have been his role. But it throws,
Although I do got to say, and I'm going to say this is my favorite line, just because it actually made me laugh out loud pretty hard. Was when they're going into the museum to steal the strand of Superman's hair, and Lex turns to Lenny and says, "Do you know what I could do with a strand of Superman's hair?" And his response is, "Make a toupee that flies." that got me good.
Yeah,
that was a pause the movie line.
But
but going into like, for me, I was a lot younger when I saw this, right?
So that's why you attached more. Did you see this before 3? Was this your first Superman?
No, my first. I remember seeing Zod before seeing either 3 or 4. I remember him. I specifically seeing the hand be crushed I remember that image as a kid, and then like, you know, the song happens in the background and he just, you know, kicks ass. Like iconic for me as a kid.
2's also the first one I remember seeing, but 3's the first one I saw theatrically.
Gotcha. What I appreciated about 4 more than 3 is the return of Lex Luthor, right? And him getting this plot to outsmart Superman, right? To create a Nuclear Man. And the fact that Nuclear Man's voice was a grizzled Gene Hackman's voice was also fun for me to hear, because it's almost like, oh, like Luke or Lex put a part of himself into this super being, and now gonna see him fight. Like at 6 years old, I was like, I'm totally on board with all this. And then just how and granted, like I probably saw this like 90, 91, like right in the middle of Hulkamania. Eat your vitamins, say your prayers. So seeing the goofy over the topness and his screaming that he had, the Nuclear Man portrayed by actor Mark Pillow. As a 6-7-year-old kid, that was attractive for me to see. Like, so just to see this guy with this kind of power, that's not just us. That's just not a computer that just sits there. Right. So and at the time we didn't have Wi-Fi, so you had an idea of like, oh, this computer could really control everything. Seeing that as a kid, it didn't hit well with me. When I have the antagonists of 4 being Lex Luthor and Nuclear Man, for me, it helped me, like it made it go down easier, I guess. Go ahead, Todd. And I actually should say one last thing on the VHS tape. This was recorded on the same tape as Spaceballs. So it was Spaceballs, then it was Superman 4. So I don't know if that might have had something
that
to do with
100% did, because you just let the tape play, watch Superman 4, and we're in a good mood. See, that's unfair. You got put in a good mood, then you got to see this. But yeah, I don't know if comparing it to 1980s pro wrestling is the best acting comparison you want to give Superman.
I'm not saying, I'm not trying
or it
to
might be the best.
Acting.
I don't know.
I'm trying to say at that age, this is why I liked it better, is because there was less goofiness. And granted, like it was terrible. Like some of these just bad all around. But as like a 7-year-old kid, you're not looking at that. Like as a 7-year-old kid, I just want to see Superman beat up a bad guy, and I want to hear the John Williams theme. You know, at that point.
And that was another thing though in this one. Even the music sounds cheap in this one. You can tell they got like 12 instruments.
And like it previous. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's not. It's a new score, but you can tell it's not an orchestra. They probably got 12 people playing the instrument. Like it really suffers, especially towards the end. I'm like, why didn't you just reuse John? Well, because that would have probably cost too money to license John Williams' score and use that. But everything about it just feels cheap. Like that
was
my
actually
biggest issue.
A big complaint of mine, because I just recently got a nice new soundbar and subwoofer, and I was really excited to hear that like classic Superman full sound, and it did come across a little weak, and it was a little disappointing.
I completely understand your critiques there. I'm just trying to say, at age 7, that stuff didn't matter to me.
I get
and
it.
It grew on me. Like you have your movies that you're kind of grew on you, that everybody else would be like, what the hell? And so that's why Todd and I get into it so much, because I liked 4 more than 3. They're both terrible movies.
You could say that, but you tell me Superman 4 is a better movie, and that's where I get an issue. I have no issue with you liking it better than 3, because I like it. That's my favorite Superman of the Reeve movies. But it's not the best, but it's my favorite.
I can't even say 4 is my favorite.
Well, I know, but
the 2 Donner cut is my favorite, but I had more fun with 4 than I had with 3, because even to this day, I mean, well, today is different because technology is so advanced, but as a kid trying to like think that, oh, Superman can't take down a computer that's trying to threaten him with generators. Like the scene was in the trailer of generators coming towards Superman. I'm like, why isn't he just like push him?
Because weren't they omitting some kind of ray at the same time?
No, they weren't. Because it's clearly
there was lightning that was, or electricity that was going.
But there's nothing to indicate that it had any connection to kryptonite.
Right.
Well,
you know, like, and that was,
but it knew to protect itself. But see, at that point, Superman knew to protect itself. So if he would have tried to, it would have just busted the green rays. So Superman,
no,
he
no, but
outsmarted
I'm not talking about the scene where it's like brought, has
No, I
the
know,
green light.
but
I'm
when
talking
they're
about the
coming
light.
towards him, I understand that, but he
Yeah,
knows
yeah.
that it will defend itself. So
If there was green lightning bolts, that would
but
make
he
a
could
little
have
bit
just
more
switched
sense.
it then. But that's the thing. He
Well-
knew it was going to defend itself. So even if
Okay,
it wasn't doing it at the time, it could have switched to the kryptonite. Why would he want to piss it off to get to the kryptonite? And he's trying to figure out how to beat it.
Why doesn't he just pull some wires and yank? He's supposed to be at like one of the strongest people in the universe,
But he
and he's
figured
being
it out.
sucked in by wires.
I have
Well,
to
the
say though,
computer
and
did kind of start getting some sort of sentience in a way. So, maybe it could have rewired or done something.
I gotta say, and because I didn't bring it up earlier, the scene, the robot when the sister gets turned into the robot, terrified a generation. Like that, like I remember as a kid that scared the shit out of me. Like her becoming the robot and coming after him. Like so, and I'm a horror kid, so that it also helps my enjoyment of it.
Although, if you grew up on Captain EO, maybe not as traumatizing because you're
that was after, but I also was a Captain EO fan. But
Okay, so I think it's clear like where we stand, obviously, on 3 and 4. I don't recall a lot of the conversations we had when it came. I mean, I remember our arguments and like,
this
going
is
back
probably
and
the
forth
most
for fun.
civil we've talked about it.
This is the most civil
Yeah.
we've been to it. And I don't recall saying either one of these movies is better than the other. It's what was the South Park comparison? It's a turd sandwich or a giant douche.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
both these movies are bad. I enjoyed 4 because it had the less, as campy as it was, it didn't have that element of just sheer goofiness. Like Todd, that you said could argue for it being reviewed on Flesh Wound Farce. And Todd, I understand that it was that different direction that you appreciated because they're doing something new. But with what they were doing new, I didn't like, because I like, after seeing Superman and Lois Lane develop their, or like have that kind of connection, to see him just go hang out and be completely enamored with Lana Lang, just it didn't work.
But that was his childhood love, and you should know that though too. Like as a youngster,
It didn't, after seeing Superman turn back time so he could save Lois Lane, it just didn't hit.
Twice.
If twice, whatever. If this was the first one, if this was the first Superman movie and that's how it came out, I might have a different take. And then they do the Lois Lane arc afterwards, then it might be different. But it just doesn't.
But then you can go in the argument with, well, in the comic books he had different love interests.
Well, yeah, but at this time, they're trying to make like a series of movies that's on one like storyline, rather not going into.
But things change. I mean, there's different love interests within the same comic lines. Things change, stories evolve. So
I guess
as he spends his time on Earth, he gets to know human traditions, which is not always to stay in one lane.
Sometimes you don't want that working girl who's all career driven, and he found a nice little, country girl. There you go.
With an annoying brat for a kid.
I agree.
Yeah.
Like I still hear that. I understand why drunk Superman was running. Listen to that.
Okay,
yeah.
so,
but I'll take him over John Cryer.
Just actually, I'd rather take John Cryer over her kid.
Oh yeah, Superman didn't want to be
we're splitting hairs at this point because we both agree that these movies are bad, right?
Yeah, but I do like Superman 3 has way more redeeming things for me. Like there's still a story there. There is some plot holes, but I don't think it's as a mess as Superman 4 is. I really do. And the whole nuclear, yeah. Again, I compared it to the Zod thing because that's not what Superman should be doing, taking care of the nuclear. Yeah, that's not his job.
Okay. So I'll give these ratings back. You don't need to apologize. I'm going to give these ratings back to back, and I'm going to shock you. Now, as soon as I'm done with these ratings, I need 30 seconds to explain.
Okay.
So I need any reactions to be
Okay.
silent. Superman 3, I'm rating a 3. Superman 4, I'm rating a 2.5. However, I enjoy 4 more than 3 while acknowledging its flaws. The only reason I enjoy it more than 3 is because the whole lot, honestly, I really had a tough time with the whole Lana Lang deal. But if this was the first movie in the entry and I didn't see anything with Lois Lane, it would totally hit different. Richard Pryor's scenes are fantastic, and he is great. He's one of the greatest. And for performances, 3 is better. But to a 6 or 7-year-old kid who wants to see just played up, give me a bad guy, and here's Superman, go fight. It was like playing with action figures.
Okay.
That's what 4 felt like. It felt like I was playing with my action figures. And I think that's why it grew on to me so much.
Do you know that the Nuclear Man in the movie is the second Nuclear Man? That there's deleted scenes where the first one didn't come out well and other stuff. I don't think we'll ever get a Superman 4 cut. But yeah, there's deleted scenes where I'll just say he comes out mangled. We'll say it that way. Maybe not as smart as this Nuclear Man. So yeah,
would that be kind of a nod to like the Bizarro Superman in a way, or
it might be? I think isn't technically 3 Bizarro. I don't know how that's getting a little too deep in the mythology for me.
He's supposed to have a backwards S.
Yeah, I know that the actual Bizarro Superman, but they always refer to drunk Superman as Bizarro Superman, but it's always drunk Superman to me. So
that's the closest thing that there is
that they've done on
in
film.
Cinematic. Yeah. So they got my ratings. Who's next?
Todd, you should go next since I am.
Oh yeah. Well, obviously I said it's my favorite Superman, and this is my enjoyment. I'm a 5 on 3. I am, I know. And I'm a 3 on 4 because, like I said, that's where I'm at.
Okay.
All right.
Greg?
So before I get to the actual numbers, just a few things of like what 3, I agree with Ozzy in the sense that it was maybe a little longer than it should have been. There was a lot of stuff that could have been cut. But 4, some issues I had was the fact that your villain can be defeated by a blackout curtain. And there's also that moment where he takes, like they take what's her name, Lacey, into space, and
she's able to breathe.
Yeah, like I was like, what? But I think for me, I'm going to give 3 a 3.5 because it kind of gave that. I like the fact that it gave that like 60s, 70s comic vibe of like the super computer and like all the fun. So it like really kind of hit the comic book level and some of the silliness and like weirdness as well.
And Robert Vaughn really fits that feel too, I think, for that throwback.
Yeah. And so that was a lot of fun for me. So I will give it a 3.5, and I'm going to give Superman 4 a 2.5. I thought it was just a little, I didn't get really a superhero fight. Like there were some parts of it where Superman got the crap kicked out of him, but I didn't feel that reciprocal was there because it was just about, oh, he's in darkness. All right, cool. And so I didn't get the joy out of the final fight. So for me, Superman 3 was a much more fun movie than Superman 4.
It was fun for you.
Yes.
Well, see, now I feel bad. I was going to go to stats, and it feels like Superman 3 swept. But you know what? I'll still go to stats just to check. Because like I figure we should do something official. Let's go to Rotten Tomatoes.
What do we need to prove? I already said. What are we doing? This is totally unnecessary.
Because I don't know what the official answer is.
But
I have more. We know what the official answer is.
We do.
IMDb's general audience, whatever rating, is a 5 for Superman 3 and a 3.7 for Superman 4.
Look at 29 and 23 for 3.
Okay.
I mean,
And
ultimately,
Superman
both
4
of
is
these,
probably
in
going to
my
be in the single
opinion,
digits.
the original cut of Superman 2, both of these are better than that. I did have at least more fun for those. But yes, they're still hot
10 and
garbage.
60. No, you're double digits still. So
barely.
All right. Well, I just was curious where I'm not one that like lives and dies on Rotten Tomatoes. I was just curious the general consensus.
Yeah.
I won't ask AI then which is better.
Yeah, that's obvious.
I do have to say,
AI's going to be biased. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, of course it's going to be biased. I just saw Mission Impossible 2 days ago.
Well, now I really want to do it. See what it says.
But the fact that we've watched, we just did Bachelor Party, and there was something about the 83, 84 era and eating pet food that I don't know why that was a trope for that time. So, yeah.
That'll be coming up in the next couple
Todd,
weeks,
I thought you had an answer for that you were
Oh, you want me to pull the AI thing or the
No, the trope about eating pet food.
I don't know. People found out their grandmas are eating them. I don't know.
Maybe there were just a lot of people who were pet food curious because they were just like, I wonder how it would taste, and so cinema brought us some answers.
I think
where a lot of people's curiosity started. So I wonder how that food tastes. I mean, it's made by Purina and they make crackers. So
all that yelling, Ozzy, and you pick Superman 3. Because I
pick Superman 3. He said one was a better movie, but he enjoys the other one, which is exactly what you wanted, Todd. So be nice.
Yeah, what else you got? I agreed with you. What else you got?
I know. Last Jedi versus what? What's coming up?
That's my next one. I will never ever.
Last Jedi versus Solo. I don't know.
Okay. Probably not. Because I mean, holy cow! I've seen Last Jedi twice, and both times I was extremely infuriated.
I'm gonna watch it 3D tonight just to do it.
So stupid. Okay, well, that's another episode for another day. This does conclude our review of Superman 3 and 4. If you are in the Orange County area this week, I'll be hosting trivia at the Rush Bar and Grill in Lake Forest this Tuesday, beginning at 7 o'clock, and at the brewery in Placentia this Wednesday, also at 7 o'clock. Get there early for the brewery this Wednesday in case you want to go. It does fill up quickly. Both nights are free to play and prizes for the top winning teams. Do you guys have anything else before you head out for the evening?
No.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us with all these Superman movies that we've reviewed in anticipation, of course, for James Gunn's Superman releasing very soon. For world famous juggler Greg Larson and Flesh Wound producer Todd, I'm Ozzy V, and we'll see you next week right here on a brand new episode of Flesh Wound Farce.